how to find your origin story, how your past is connected to it, and how can you use that to shape your future. This video will explain to you how to do all of that. Now, why do you want to listen to me? My name is Shuwel. Despite growing up in UK council housing, I went on to study at Cambridge University and Harvard University in America. I learned about business in a $200 billion global company while living across 3 continents, and I started and scaled my own multi-million pound business. I'm giving away this information for free to you. But let's get into it. Origin stories are powerful. Everyone has one. It takes time to find it, but once you're able to find your origin story, it can become a very powerful tool to get you to that next chapter of your life, bring in the people that can help you, and also just scale the impact that you can do as an individual. In this video, I'll talk about the process of how I found my origin story, how it helped me to figure out where I am today in the present, and then also how it helped me shape my future. Let's start with the definition of origin story. Origin story explains how someone or something came to be. It shares the experiences that shaped an individual, a person, or a company, and often it's a way to highlight that journey towards their purpose. Why did I ever have to find out my origin story? A few years ago, I got the amazing opportunity to give a TED Talk. And as part of this TED Talk, I wanted to talk about why giving is so important for me. And through this process of understanding why giving was important, I looked into my family's history. Now, my family is coming from Bangladesh. My parents migrated to the UK at a young age, and I was born and raised here in the UK. And I was given the benefit and the wonderful privilege of seeing 2 cultures growing up. The British culture that I grew up in, that I'm very proud of, and then also the culture where my parents have come from in Bangladesh. Now, that is an origin story. Through this process of having to figure out and understand my origin story in more detail, it helped me understand a lot of things about the past, connect them to the present of who I am today, and also shape the future that I want to create for myself as well. The first question you're probably thinking is, okay, well, how can I find my origin story? These were the steps that I went through to figure out my family's origin story, my origin story, and then also how I've been able to apply it to the future. Some things that are worth thinking. So one is to think about the history of your family, where they've been, and the roots that they've been on. For me, my parents are coming from Bangladesh. My dad migrated to the UK at the age of 13. Now, he only got that opportunity because he was the youngest of 7 kids from a farming village in a rural part of Bangladesh. And my grandfather actually had the opportunity to send one of his kids to the UK for a better life. And my dad, being the youngest of 7 kids, was very intelligent, was very bright, and had a very exciting future ahead of himself, was picked by my grandfather as one of the 7 to relocate to the UK at the age of 13. Now, he went to the UK and he was able to create an amazing life for us as a family, worked extremely hard, but I'll go into those details in another video. But just for me to understand the roots of the decisions that were made by certain people, my grandfather, my dad, where he moved to, the age he was, all of that already just gives me a feeling of some of the key decisions that have been made, and also the roots and the journeys that my family has had to do as well. So that just informed me a lot more of that history. The other thing which I think it ties to as the next consideration to think about is also the sacrifices and key decisions that have been made already in your family for you to be where you are today. Now, some of the decisions that were made in my family. One was this amazing opportunity that was offered to my grandfather of sending one of his 7 kids to Bangladesh. A decision had to have been made, which must have been a tough decision, of which of the 7 kids he gets to send from Bangladesh to the UK. And they picked my dad, who was the youngest child at the time. My dad moved to the UK at the age of 13 in his teens, and he went to school during the day, worked in the evenings in the factory, and then also worked at a restaurant as well. So from the age of 13, he was working 2 jobs, going to school and supporting his large family back home in Bangladesh. And then throughout that period, he had to make a lot of sacrifices. He was away from his family, but he did this to support the greater good, the family that he had left behind, and also the future that he wanted to create for his own family. Now, all these key decisions actually informed me a lot in terms of why, when I was growing up, my parents were so big into education, why they were so big about making the most of this amazing opportunity of growing up in the UK, where you could go to school and meet people and learn such an important language like English and all these other factors that it made us really appreciate these opportunities. Now, as I've already mentioned in other videos, I didn't go to a private school. I didn't have any of these luxuries that you can call it, but at least what I had and from where my family had come from, all of this felt amazing. And we were all so happy and grateful for these opportunities. And this is something that my parents drummed into me and my family and my brothers at a young age. Understanding those key decisions that were made can also help you understand how you were raised and also a lot of the motivations that you may have today as well that stem from that period. The last part in terms of how to find your origin stories, I would think about the outcomes as well. Now, as mentioned, my dad has one of those very typical immigrant stories where you come to a country with nothing, you go to school, you work multiple jobs. Then he went into the restaurant business like a lot of people from the Bangladeshi community that migrated to the UK. He worked extremely hard to get to a position where after a few years he could partner up and have his own restaurant as well and grow out the restaurant business. And during that period while I was growing up, there were tough times at the beginning, growing up in council housing, to good times when the restaurants are doing great, and then challenging times. For anyone that's been a child of entrepreneurs, you know how up and down the business can be and the knock-on effect that this can have on family. But during that period, he was very clear that he didn't get the chance to go into full-time education in college, in university, because he had to support his family back home. So working was the only decision that he could make at that time. Whereas for us growing up in the UK, being able to learn, go to a state school, but it was a great school, and learn from great teachers, etc. Through the outcomes that he was able to achieve, he made it very clear for us that he didn't want us to work from a young age. He wanted us to focus on our education because for him, he couldn't prioritize his education. He had to prioritize his family. But with him prioritizing his family, he wanted us to prioritize our education and look at much bigger opportunities than the ones he had access to. So looking into the outcomes that we had as a family, the priorities that my parents set for me and my brothers, looking into that also gave me a feeling of some of the origin stories of how our family got to where they were to where they are today, and what the priorities that were set by my parents at a young age as well. All of this became a lot clearer when I started to dig into my origin story. And then it helped me understand even more why I want to do what I want to do today and also where I want to go as an individual. Now, this is another reason why I think understanding your origin story is so important, because it helps you connect it with today. How does it help me connect with today? So I recognize today the sacrifices that both of my parents made and the immigrant story, and starting from relatively modest beginnings to being able to provide the life that I've been able to provide now for my parents as a thank you for all the sacrifices that they've made. By me understanding that origin story, it's helped me have a lot of empathy for people that are going through that same scenario, for people that are going through challenging times, for people that are having to relocate, for people that are having to make these sacrifices, for people that are looking to support their large families. All of these struggles I've been through and I've been able to appreciate even more just from understanding the sacrifices that my family has done. And on top of that, it helps me connect even more, because now understanding those sacrifices in more detail, understanding that journey, understanding the outcomes that they were looking for, also makes me have even more appreciation for everyone that's contributed to that journey as well. I think also it's helped me understand my own personality traits. I've also relocated multiple times for my career. I've also taken risks and started my own business. I've also been able to build relationships with people from another country and learn other languages, etc. Now, all of this I thought that I did because I enjoy, but actually understanding my story and understanding the different decisions that were made and the sacrifices that were also made, all of this helps me understand why I am who I am today, what motivates me, and also how can I harness this to continue to help even more people in the future. And a video like this, I hope, is a way of also helping people going through a similar journey or wanting to understand their own origin story. How do they go about it as well? This gets me to the last point in terms of how it connects to today, your origin story. So now understanding my personality traits, it also allows me to understand what motivates me. I am motivated to learn, grow, and give. And any area that I'm involved in, there has to be one at least of those elements to keep me motivated and engaged. And whenever I'm included in opportunities or creating opportunities, providing opportunities where I can do all three, that's when my motivation is sky high. And if I think about those three trends about learning, growing, and giving, this is stuff that has come all through generations of my family, right? My grandfather learned about this opportunity that he could provide to my dad of giving him a better life. My father went to the UK to grow, and he learned about the businesses that he was involved in. He learned about about growing his own business, etc. He learned about how to raise a family in another country and help them understand the gift that we were given of growing up in the UK versus Bangladesh, where he had grown up. All of this has come from understanding my origin story, seeing the trends, and realizing that also is what motivates me as well. So going through that process has helped me become very clear about what motivates me and how I can harness that into the future. To wrap up, talked about how to find your origin story. We've also talked about how it connects to today, but let's wrap up with the future. Through that exercise, I understood my family's roots. I understood the sacrifices and the key decisions that were made. I understood what were the outcomes. Then I get to today. It helped me understand the people around me. It helped me understand my own personality traits as well. And then it ultimately help me to understand what motivates me to grow even further. Finally, how can it help shape your future, your origin story? So if you combine all of that, this is extremely valuable data. Now I know even more the motivations of the people around me. I understand their histories. I understand the decisions that they made. I understand the sacrifices that they made as well. All of this gives me a sense of appreciation of what they've done for me to be here today. And then it's an amazing motivator because now I know that all these sacrifices that were made, if I don't make the most out of these opportunities, then moving to Switzerland 10 years ago, why should I do that? Moving to Japan for this amazing job opportunity, well, why should I do that? Moving to the US, why should I do that? Applying to Cambridge or Harvard, why would I even do that? But you realize because of all the sacrifices that have been made, they've been made for me to be in the position today where I can have these amazing opportunities, where I can even think about these things, which one generation ago would have seemed impossible. But already here I am today, being able to do that and give this information as well. So this is why I personally think figuring out your origin story, everything that comes with that, can be extremely valuable because it helps you shape an amazing future and shoot even higher because of everything that has already been done before. If this video was useful, then please feel free to share it with someone who you think will find it useful. If you have any feedback or comments, please reach out to me directly. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience, and I will see you in the next video.